Welcome to NDTR Spotlight, the corner of the internet where NDTR shine. I'm your host, Marie Lorraine, and today we are doing episode 2 of our mini-series we're doing called Understanding the Scope of Practice for NDTRs. A complicated question that really should be simple, but there's a lot to dive into. Before we get into the bulk of this podcast, I just want to say a quick thank you to anyone and everyone who has commented on YouTube videos or podcasts or slid into DMs and said thank you for NDTR Spotlight. Honestly, those messages, those comments are what keeps me going. It's so nice to be able to connect with audience and to hear that what the work I'm putting into is appreciated and is helping somebody. So if you have not commented on anything and you're watching, please do let me know how you enjoy it. Like the videos, share the podcast with people who are also pursuing NDTRs or want to do nutrition and don't know where to start. NDTR Credential is a great place to start. And if you haven't, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and the Instagram page or LinkedIn page. I ask just because it's encouragement for me to keep this going as I see the community of NDTRs growing online, following this and being inspired, because the followers are not necessarily followers for me, but for all of the NDTRs that I highlight and shine light on, hearing their stories and how they are, impacting the nutrition field in amazing ways. So that being said, thank you again. And today what I wanted to do was look at the credentials, the extra credentials that you can get on top of the NDTR credential. Now you might be thinking, what? Getting the NDTR credential is already so much work, but there's a lot of value in having another credential added behind that name. And other credentials do not take as much work as the DTR credentials, or at least the ones that I'm going to talk about today. And they can improve and expand that scope of practice that you can do as an NDTR. So if you have an extra credential behind your name, or if you're thinking about other credentials, definitely make sure you give this whole podcast a listen and comment down below. I would love to know what credential you hold and if you have seen it be beneficial for you, or if you haven't had the opportunity to use it yet. I will start quickly with my story. I, again, am an NDTR and I have a certified personal trainer credential added to my name. And I found that credential has been so beneficial, because what's really nice about these other credentials I'm going to list out here in a moment is most people know what they are. Whereas the NDTR credential, they're like, what is that? But these other ones, people know right away, like certified personal trainer. They know it, they trust it. They're like, can you train me? And having this certified personal trainer credential has been so great because it's gotten me into the world of fitness and helping clients. And when nutrition questions come up, I'm more than qualified to do some coaching with them and talk to them about nutrition. And I think it really sets you apart. A lot of these accreditation organizations have nutrition credits and you can get nutrition certifications, but they can't compare to the NDTR credential. I also found that having this credential, the NDTR credential, helped me with my continuing education credits that I needed for the certified personal trainer one, because I had it all in nutrition and I was able to just apply it. So it is valuable to have another credential because people understand it, they recognize it, and then you can come in and say, well, I'm also an NDTR, and this is what this means. And this means I can give you the best nutrition knowledge that is really accessible here in this gym or wherever you're working outside of what a dietitian would give. And so the article that I'm going to be referencing for this podcast in our mini series is the one I talked about in the first episode. And so you can check out that link down below in the comments or on our website, ndtrspotlight.com/resources. And this chart, I really like it because it's so organized and well put together. It has credentialing agencies and then credentials. And then if you look at the bottom of the chart, it gives some more in-depth information that is really relevant. So one, it says requires a bachelor's degree. There'll be a little A next to the credential, or 50 continual professional education units approved by the CDR for completion of a certification for alternative recertification periods. 50, which is Perfect. For a NDTR, you need 50 credits, continual education credits, every 5-year period. So getting an extra credential behind your name can be an easy and effective way to, one, broaden your scope of practice as an NDTR and take care of those continual education credits that you need to maintain the license that you're carrying. And then the C, it has 50 continual education units approved by the CDR for completion of the CDR for completion of certification for consecutive recertification periods. And then D is CDR accreditation approved. So I would totally encourage looking through that. And just for some clarity right now in this podcast, one, the International Board Certification Lactation Consultant is one of those that you can get that will count for your continual education credits. And what's really nice about this one is, I'm not sure if you know, if you work for WIC, sometimes they will pay for that credential because there's a lot of breastfeeding that goes into that job and education on breastfeeding. And that is an excellent credential to hold and be able to utilize. So that's one of them that you can get your continual education credits. And then they also have the School Nutrition Specialist, or S&S. You can also get your continual education credits. So like 2 birds, 1 stone, in-depth knowledge, wider scope of practice is one of the main, one really good reason to get an extra credential. Another one, as I said before, is people know what these credentials are most of the time. So I mentioned my story as a personal trainer, but there's also credentials such as a certified health coach. And if you don't know what a health coach is, you must be living under a rock. But if you can get a credential as a health coach and be able to go out and get clients and whatnot, you can do your health coaching and also couple it with nutrition. So you can, it's an ideal situation if you're doing a private practice, right? And you don't have to explain what an NDTR is all the time. You can talk about your health coach credential and then bring in nutrition clients as well and do your holistic approach for health or whatever you're doing with that credential, coupled with that nutrition. And down below, I will link some of the interviews that we've had with NDTRs who hold some of the credentials that I'm list here. And you can just see how they talk about how these extra credentials have helped them in their private practice or with whatever they are doing with side gigs or even in their practice and clinical aspects. So in summary, I 100% think getting an extra credential behind that name is beneficial. It will cover some continual education credits depending on the credential. And if it's not even for the NDTR credential, it might cover it for the credential that you're getting to maintain that credential. And then also it just helps you get into doors that would otherwise be closed for an NDTR because people just don't know what it is. So while we're getting the word out about what an NDTR is, looking at those other credentials, expanding the scope of practice, and then being in those spots where health coaches are, where certified personal trainers are, where school nutritionists are, or school food service workers, administrators are, is excellent because you'll be in those doors and then you could really utilize that NDTR credential the way that it was designed to be used. And that is all I have for you guys today for this mini series. Comment down again below what credentials you carry, what credentials you're interested in pursuing. And the link to this article is again on NDTR Spotlight/resources or in the comment section down below if you're watching this on YouTube. And we'll see you in our next episode. Thank you so much for your support, for watching. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, all of the things so that I know that I'm connecting to an audience and not just talking to a camera.